Hi, what a privilege I have to be able to say to you today, on behalf of everybody at Grace Court Impact Center in Newlands, Johannesburg, happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers. I trust that you've had a blessed day and that you are reminded about the great gift from God that you have to be able to be a mother and a blessing to somebody, and to have a mother and to have a blessing like a mother in your life. I want to have a quick conversation with you today about the conversation. God has dropped this word in my spirit that I believe it fits perfectly today with Mother's Day. We are going to look at Exodus 13, specifically verse 8. In this passage of scripture, Moses is busy relating the word that he received from God for the Israelites about how God is going to bring them out of the land of Egypt. And in verse 8, we specifically see him saying that God said that you shall explain to your son on that day, this is done because of what the Lord did for me when I came out of Egypt. What we're basically seeing here is that there is the conversation where you will be having with your children, testifying about the fact that it is God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. And I want to put it to you today, and I want to challenge you today, mothers and children, that there is a need for the conversation. The conversation where we testify about how God has brought us out of the land of Egypt, and the conversation where we explain that it was God who brought us out of the land of Egypt. I look at our young people today, I look at our country in general, I look at our continent, I look at our world, and I see that there are young people, there are children who finds themselves in a land of bondage, who finds themselves in a land of addiction, a land of insecurities, a land of bullying, a land of political, emotional, financial, mental turmoil. And with all these questions about how am I going to get out of this land? And then on the other hand, you have the mothers, the grandmothers, who have already overcame a few things in their lives, whom God has already brought out of the land of Egypt, whatever the land of Egypt might be for you. And I believe that God is saying that there is a need for the conversation between the mother, the grandmother, between the parent and the child, where we as the mothers get to sit with our children and say that what you are seeing today, it is God that brought me out of it. Now, I want to challenge the mothers. I don't know what your land of Egypt might have been. Whether your Egypt was addiction, abuse, divorce, oppression, poverty, insecurity, whatever your Egypt was, God has brought you out of that Egypt. You are now free. Even though we still have challenges, there are certain areas in our lives where we are already living in the promised land. And I want to challenge you to look past your insecurities, to look past your fears, because you see, when you have to share your testimony, there is this element of also having to share this intimate part of you where you now have to reveal certain sides of you to your children that they might not know about. But I want to tell you that the lessons, the wisdom, and the understanding and the testimony that it is God who brought you out of that land of Egypt is greater than your fear. It is greater than your uncomfortability of having that conversation with your child. I believe that it is time that we have the conversation. There is this scenario that I hope we can avoid, where the knowledge, the wisdom and the understanding and the testimony of how God brought our parents out of their proverbial Egypt gets lost. There is this scenario that I'm praying that we will avoid, where our children never know the story, never ask the questions, never ask, like Exodus 13 verse 8 tells us here, for the explanation. We need to ask for the explanation of how did you get out of this specific Egypt that you were in. And children, I want to promise you that if you were to go and ask your mother, your grandmothers, you will find that we will all say one thing. They will all say one thing, from the north, the east, the south, and the west, that I am where I am today because it is the Lord that brought me out of Egypt. Won't you go and have that conversation today? Won't you go and pray to God that you will have the opportunity to share with your children the conversation, the explanation of how it is God that brought you out of your Egypt. It is God that we need to get us out of our Egypt. May you be blessed today, and may you above all else experience the love, the grace, and the mercy and the peace of God. Thank you so much for watching. Please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Grace Impact TV. From me, Jenna-Leigh Bilong, goedheid en guns, goodness and